Train the muscles, not the joints. Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I want to talk to you about training with your heart and not your head. And here's a reason why you might want to do this. Okay, so every day I see somebody superficially judge a movement, like an exercise, and they have a superficial understanding of the forces that are at work or at play in that exercise when it comes to each individual person, right? Each person has different things going on. Each person has a different history, different injuries, different joint ratios. I talk about this all the time. Different genetic lineage, different strengths, different weaknesses, different percentage of fast twitch to slow twitch fiber ratios. All these different things are going on. And then they'll presume to look at a person and say, okay, that exercise is absolutely wrong for you because I can see there's something different in the way that you're doing it as opposed to me. And even though you might be getting results, it's wrong somehow. So I know if you're watching this channel, most likely you're pretty open-minded already. You already understand that there is a delicate sort of homeostasis that's going on inside each person. There's a different ecosystem, right? So for instance, somebody the other day was saying, Jason, on the incline curl, you're doing them wrong because your upper back is rounding a little bit and whatever, and you're getting some momentum. You're really working the delts and stuff, even though I'm not really bringing the shoulders forward or not, which is primarily what the delts do. But what they're saying is just because my shoulders come forward a little bit and then I come back and then reset the shoulders in place and then flex the biceps, that I'm doing it wrong because this movement shouldn't be happening at all. But what they don't understand is that I'm helping offset some of the stress on the bicep tendon by bringing the shoulder forward. And at the same time, I'm making sure that I rotate my hands in, I pronate instead of supinate when I come down to the bottom to take that stress off the bicep brachii tendon. Big biceps. My biceps getting bigger yet? Huh? Can you see it? Come on, fuck. Come on, tell me you can see it. I think you can see it. Well, what do you know? You're just a secretary. Now, this situation is something I recommend with a lot of people. I recommend to pronate slightly when you do inclines to take that stress off the bicep brachii, because you don't want the bicep brachii to stop the momentum, because that muscle is a power muscle, and when it's in its stretched phase, you don't want to also use it as a jarring stop. You don't want to eccentrically stop a movement really quickly when a muscle is in the stretched phase, right? It's kind of like if you could do a deadlift, but a stiff-legged deadlift, but fall forward, like go forward as fast as you can, and then just suddenly stop at the bottom. That would be when a tear happens. So what you want to do is offset that stress on the tendon subtly by maybe bringing the shoulders forward a little bit or rotating in. Now, this will be different for each individual person. If you're doing a slow rep, this would be another way of offsetting some of that momentum, but again, that will change the dynamic of the exercise itself. A slow rep will be different than a faster rep. Different weights involved will be different. Everything is different. That's what I'm saying. Every little thing that you switch in an exercise makes it different. It makes the stress different, and people underestimate how complicated that system is when you change just one parameter in an exercise. Now, another reason why what this person said was not necessarily in alignment with understanding the full picture of what was going on. And I understand this person had their heart in the right place. They were just trying to find out what's going on here. What is it that they know to be true, and what is it that's not true? How does the body work? And they're just asking me, honestly, Jason, why are you doing this? So I didn't take it as a troll type comment by any means, so that's why it's not a part of Stupid Comment Saturday, right? But the bottom line is that what they were not understanding also is that because of the hockey injury I have, the slap tear in the shoulder, right? This shoulder, it slides forward and back a bit, which is why you guys see me sometimes adjust on the bench, because I'm trying to find my equilibrium, because one arm, the more weight is on one arm than the other when I'm bench pressing, so I have to adjust to compensate for that because of the way my shoulder's sitting in the joint, because of that hockey injury. Now, of course, I've overcome it as far as I'm still getting gains, I'm still training fine and everything, but it does change or shift the equilibrium that happens, or the balancing that happens in my bench press movements. And it's pretty much unavoidable, because when you have a structural change, you can't really do much about it. You can strengthen up the stabilizers, you can rehabilitate that area altogether, but when you have a broken bone, you're not going to strengthen up the muscles around there and assume that the broken bone repercussion is going to change. I mean, when there's a structural change difference, that's all you can do, right? Is just ride it out and train around it. So here's the thing with my right shoulder, is that it slides forward and back a little bit. And because the shoulder is a little bit more loose, this bicep has to stabilize a lot more. It has to do a 10 times bigger job than before to keep that shoulder stable, right? So even though my shoulder's moving, my bicep's actually working really hard to keep that shoulder stable, which is why it's important for me to make sure that I don't put too much stress on this bicep tendon because, like I said, this bicep is actually doing twice the job. Usually a labrum, it's like a golf tee, right? And the ball, here's the ball and socket and the labrum here. When the labrum is tight, then your bicep and your rotator cuff doesn't have to keep that arm in the joint because your joint is actually doing a majority of the work. Now, if this is torn, what happens is then your bicep and your rotator cuff actually have to do the job that the structure can't do anymore. So this will change the way you move with every single exercise that involves those muscle groups, right? So not only does it keep you from lifting quite as much weight with the bicep, because like I said, the bicep is doing 2 jobs now rather than just one, it also will change sometimes how the actual joint moves during a certain exercise. So that's one reason why this person's comment was kind of superficial. They didn't really understand that there's another thing, another parameter going on in this movement when I'm doing the bicep curl. Now my left bicep, as some of you know, I had that injury from a chiropractor that didn't know what he was doing, and ironically enough, he also was superficially judging a situation based on some neck tightness I had at the time. And he said, oh, Jason, okay, your neck's tight. Let's just do a strength test, and lock your arm out straight, and I'm gonna yank on your arm and you just resist as much as you can and assume that you're not gonna get injured from this. Well, he didn't understand that I had a broken elbow from when I was 9 years old, and that elbow didn't heal right, and I can now hyperextend this elbow. So he's saying, hyperextend your elbow, just go as straight as you can, now resist. Now, of course, that put too much stress on the bicep. And then he said, in his infinite stupidity, he said, lock your arm out straight and now resist. And of course, then I basically end up partially tearing a bicep. So that also changed how this side moves when I bicep curl. So now, because the bicep is attached farther up on the forearm, now it makes my shoulder move a little bit when I flex the bicep. It's not as much of a stable, it's not as autonomous as it was before, whereas I could keep the arm right back and then all that would happen is this bicep goes up and down. So the strength curve or the torque curve has changed on that side as well, which also affects how my bicep curl acts. Now I'm getting gains in the bicep, my biceps look good, but at the same time it has changed. So this will change the way the movements work. So really, when you attack your workouts with your heart, what you do is that you experience the workout and experience the stimulus, and you come to your workout with an idea. You might have an idea of how, or a vision of how an exercise should work based on your own research, based on your own findings, but at the same time, you make the experience in that moment the most important thing. What is the body telling you? Where do you feel the forces, right? It's all Yoda, right? This is all Yoda stuff. Feel the force. Feel it. Understand what is actually happening in the body. Don't try to impose your mind on something, because your mind is secondary. Your mind is a starting point. But if you want to be advanced in this training, especially when it comes to personalizing your own training to you, you need to understand that listening and experiencing and treating this as a meditation is the most important thing, because as you experience these movements, they will tell you everything you need to know about where those forces are. So as we deepen this body awareness and this connection to the body, you'll gain a deeper understanding of what's really happening, no matter what somebody else is telling you from the outside, because they don't understand a whole bunch of parameters that are going on all at the same time. They might understand 1 or 2 or 3, but they've almost got a different type of racism going on. A bay leaf tree. Good flavor. I like that. All trees are the same. That's the nice part about it. Oh, neat. A cedar tree. Wow, I love this. Good thing all trees are the same. I'm going to eat this. Thank God all trees are the same. Hey, look, a stick. This is a tree. It's kind of like me looking at a white person and saying all white people should train the same, or an Indian and saying all Indians are the same, or a person that is of a different race of any kind, whether it's Chinese or whether they're African American, whatever, and saying, oh, they should all train the same because they're part of the same race. That's obviously one parameter that's going on, but it isn't the whole deal. I mean, we could look at any race and say there's different heights, different joint ratios, different histories going on, and a whole bunch of different stuff going on. I mean, each genetic lineage, like each family, will have different diseases going on, different types of sicknesses and illnesses, and die from different diseases, and some may have diabetes in their line, some may have cancer, some may, so we know this individuality exists in so many people on this planet. So why are we not applying it to training? Obviously that has to happen. Obviously some of us are more robotic than others, and some of us can have the genetics to be a strong man, as far as we have the tendons and ligaments that can take a horrible beating under thousands of pounds of pressure. And then other people, if they lift heavy like that all the time, they tear stuff up and they get injured all the time. So you have to take into account your experience. The feeling and the experience has to be king. If this is not king, you will always be disregarding your own individuality and disregarding the reality that is happening in this body right here. And that is what I'm here to teach you. That is what I'm here to help you discover. It isn't about just a cookie cutter thing for everybody, like you train exactly this way, you train exactly that way. It's okay to start with a template, like I have templates for you guys, but as you go along with this template, you'll start to understand that there are certain rules that generally apply to a lot of people, but there are a lot of other variables that have to be changed and tweaked depending on the individual. So don't be afraid to do that. That is really important. So I hope this video helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. I gotta go train still. Let's go to the gym. I think I'll go to Agassi Fitness today. Maybe I'll just do some stuff there. I'll show you a couple clips of me training because you guys like that, right? You like it? You like it when I train? You like it? You like that stuff? Yeah? Yeah, yeah, yeah? Okay.